Saludos vengadores y vengadoras y bienvenidos una vez más a Badassium Geek. Hoy, en esta noche, vamos a tener a un invitado sumamente especial desde Indiana, Estados Unidos. Así que eso lo vamos a presentar ya mismo aquí en Badassium Geek. Así que recuerden, si tienen alguna pregunta, alguna duda sobre el invitado que vamos a tener la noche de hoy, hágalo en el chat, en las preguntas al final de la entrevista del invitado de esta noche. Así que recuerden darle like a nuestra página en Facebook, YouTube, Instagram y Twitter, y también pronto en Twitch. Así que vamos a comenzar esta entrevista de Badassium Geek. Así que disfruten de este show porque solo te lo traemos para ti. Así que Badassium Geek acaba de comenzar.
Konnichiwa, vengadores y vengadoras, and welcome to Badassium Geek, the world for the geeks, and this is PikaEnid. Here in Badassium Geek, we are happy to have you here with us. And remember, follow us in all our social medias that appears on the bottom of the screen. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and many more, right? Facebook. So follow us on those websites so you can have more. And remember to follow us and hit on the bell for more notification of this news and more. In Badassium Geek, we're very happy because tonight I am interviewing an artist who is extremely fan of Batman. And before we introduce him, let's see this small video to have a hint of whom we are talking about. Yes, I am interviewing the owner of Fiberglass Freaks and creator of the replica of the Batmobile of the 60s TV series of Batman, Mark B. Racop. Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
Awesome. Holy introduction. That was great.
All right. So introduce yourself, Mark.
My name is Mark Racop, and I am the owner of Fiberglass Freaks, and we build 1966 Batmobile replicas for a living. And this has been a crazy lifelong dream from when I was just a wee lad at the age of 2 years old. I saw my very first episode of Batman, and that really just blew me away. The color, the action, the music, everything about the show, but especially the Batmobile. And I said, someday I want to drive that car. And that's what started it all way back in 1967.
Wow.
Wow.
So
It's great.
it is
Holy
amazing.
moly, PikaEnid. Holy moly.
Holy moly.
So, Mark, it's an honor for us that you are here tonight at Badassium Geek. We hope you had a great time with us tonight.
I'm sure I will. We'll have a blast.
All right.
Then in this case, let's start with this dynamic interview. You ready?
Absolutely.
Let's begin in Badassium Geek.
I'm going to start with the first question. And the first question is, what is Fiberglass Freaks and when it was founded?
Fiberglass Freaks, the name came about because we were looking for something that would be memorable. We didn't want to make it something generic. We wanted something really memorable. So Fiberglass Freaks, you'd have to be a freak to get into fiberglass. Anybody that's ever worked in fiberglass would go, yeah, that's totally true. And that's how the name got started. And we founded the business in 2003. But that's not really the start. The start goes all the way back to when I was 17 years old, when I built my very first Batmobile replica. So 5 crazy kids. We had no automotive experience. We had no automotive tools. We built a Batmobile from a 1974 Monte Carlo, completely the wrong donor car. We made every mistake in the world on that car. So when we started building them professionally, we were able to eliminate and get past all of those errors that we did early on.
Wow. All right. Wow. So that's amazing.
Really amazing, Mark. So, Mark, which type of car models do you use to build that Batmobile?
Well, since the Monte Carlo was way too short of a wheelbase, we then went with the Lincoln Town Car for 25 of our Batmobiles that we've built. And the Lincoln Town Car is pretty close, and it has that lineage because the original Batmobile was a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. So it was kind of nice that it stuck with the Lincoln theme. But now we're using a custom-built chassis. That way we can make everything exactly correct as it was on the original Batmobile. So we can make the wheelbase 126.5 inches. We can create width between the frame rails to allow seats to go into the car a little bit better, give a little bit more room underneath the steering wheel than what the Lincoln would provide. And it really has made a significant difference. And of course, the biggest, best thing that it has allowed us to do is to change engines. So now we can put LS3 Corvette engines into our Batmobiles. And 525 horsepower is pretty cool under the hood of a Batmobile.
All right. So our next question, you practically answered it first, but let's do it again to refresh the memories to the viewers. When did you build the first Batmobile and why the Batmobile?
Aha! I built my first Batmobile because I was a huge fan of the TV show. I had already made 2 Batman fan films while in high school. And I was majoring in filmmaking at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. And I needed the ultimate prop. I wasn't satisfied with just shooting off the screen with the Batmobile from the TV show. I really wanted our own Batmobile. So that was the reason. So, you know how they say necessity is the mother of invention? Well, it's absolutely true. So we thought, well, we had built sets, we had sewn costumes, and we had made props. How hard could it be to build a car? Boy, were we in for it. We had no idea. We were so naive about the building process. We didn't own any automotive tools. We didn't own really anything. We had no knowledge whatsoever. As I had mentioned earlier, we didn't even own an air compressor, if that tells you how naive we were about doing this and how unprepared we were. But we had willpower. And that willpower is what did it. And we built the car. We willed it into being from that 74 Monte Carlo using plywood and styrofoam, sheet metal, anything to try to get the shape as close to what we thought was right as possible. And then we covered everything in layers of fiberglass, gallons and gallons of Bondo, of course. And that's why we call it the Bondo Mobile sometimes. But it's a crowd pleaser. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Any body man would look at it and just shake their head. But it was a starting point. And that's what really launched Fiberglass Freaks, is that it was proof of concept that, yes, it could be done.
Wow.
Wow, it's amazing.
Awesome, that info. Mark, next question. Have you built other models of Batmobiles from the Batman movies?
I have not built any of the other Batmobiles. Really, this business is so busy, I just don't have time to really delve into the other cars. There are some builders out there that are handling those also. So they do a really good job, and I'd rather not do something that they're already doing well. Nobody was building the 66 Batmobile well, and the accuracy level wasn't there, the quality level wasn't there, and that's how I got into this business. If somebody else was doing it well, I never would have gotten into it. But because of that, I was able to get right in there, and that's what attracted the attention eventually of Warner Brothers, and they sent a spy to my shop pretending to be a customer of mine, a potential customer, and that's how the ball got rolling there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. So how much does a Batmobile cost, and have you ever sold them out of the States?
You know, the cost of a Batmobile is more than a bit, but not as much as a bunch, right? It's they start in about the $150,000 range and go up to $300,000, depending on what features, drivetrain, and things like that a person's looking for. If somebody wants a super basic one that's great for parades, they can get one of the lower end models. But if they want one that has every bell and whistle and it looks exactly like the one from the TV show, then they'll pay a premium price for that. I have sold cars all over the world. We have one in England, we have one in Italy, we have two in Australia, one that's going to Australia right now that we're just about ready to paint, so it's pretty exciting. I think that we've got one in Canada, but I'm not certain of that if it's still there. The cars, after we sell them, they sometimes go to auction, and it's tougher to keep track because they don't always mention who they sell to from that point. So if somebody will say, "Is this one of your cars?" and I'll, "Hey, wait a minute, yes, it is," and it's pretty exciting.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mark, we are showing in this moment a few images of your work of the Batmobiles you working. All right, tell us about this.
Oh, this was one of the most fun times of my life. This is the first time in 1966 Batmobile history that there were 5 1966 Batmobiles together at one time. And it was a really weird situation that brought 5 cars together because owners don't like other people to know that there's more than one Batmobile. They want to be the only one to have a car. So it was really an odd event. But we were repairing one car. We had one car on hold for a guy that was in the middle of a divorce. We had another car on hold for a guy that unfortunately had cancer and he couldn't accept his car right away. And so it was, and then my first Batmobile is the one in the deep background. So that is what led to that picture by Rich Voorhees, international award-winning photographer. We had a very limited time. We only had 3 days to get the photo, and it rained the first 2.5 days. So then we're coming into the afternoon. The rain finally stopped. We were able to get the cars out in position, get them detailed, and snap a couple pictures before the shadows fell across the vehicles. What you're seeing otherwise here is from our website, and these are pictures of our cars with the interiors, with all of the extra detailing that goes into those interiors, the roll top dashboard, the center console. You're looking at the wheel bats, the detectascope, the Robin the Boy hostage finder, as we like to call it. Also the 5-light flasher there is in the second to the right. But the most exciting one is the bat phone, probably for a lot of people, because we actually worked it out. It was just a prop on the show, but we have a very, very good expert here in our shop that created a blinking, beeping Bluetooth Batmobile bat phone. And that allows people to be able to pick up the phone and be able to connect with their cell phone. And you also see the flamethrower effect. We have a propane tank in our trunk. It shoots out a flame about 1 foot long, 1.5 feet long, just like the original car did back on the TV show, hitting switches underneath the dashboard. And it's just incredible fun to drive a Batmobile, to show up at events. to be in parades, things like that. It's just crazy fun. If you go through the drive-through at your favorite restaurant, everybody's plastered to the glass watching you pass by. The grins and the smiles, you're seeing people clap and singing the Batman theme. All of these wonderful things are going on every single time you pull the car out.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Mark, other question. How fast this is Batmobile you can run it?
The speed.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The speed for the Batmobile. Which one is the maximum speed?
Our top of the line engine is the 525 horsepower car, but we've actually built one that was a 625 horsepower car, and that's the second one that's going to Australia. And we've not driven it at its top speed yet. I'm guessing more than 150 miles per hour.
Wow.
Probably 160, somewhere in that range is the top speed.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mark, other question. Do you see the video for a few years ago from the racing of the two Batmobiles, the Batmobile of 1966 and the Batmobile of the 1989 or the Tim Burton movie?
I have seen the video. That was very entertaining.
What do you think? What do your reaction for this video?
I thought it was very well produced. I thought Bat in the Sun did a great job with that video. That was not one of my cars, to be fair, but I thought that they did an absolute blast with that. And the surprise ending was interesting as well.
No, it's amazing. We are showing right now, and Badassium did the video of the racing of the two Batmobiles. So we are amazing. We are amazing this race. I thought the 1989 Batmobile we are winning, but the Batmobile of the 1966 is the winner. It's incredible.
The reason for that is the engine horsepower in the two vehicles. The 89 only had a 350 with about 325 horsepower, whereas the Batmobile had a Corvette engine, probably in the neighborhood of 430 horsepower. So that's why. But I think there might have been a little more to it than that. I think they wanted the 66 to win for the girl to have to wash the car afterward. But yeah, it's a well-shot video. I thought they did a great job with that.
Yeah. Well, PikaEnid, do you think we are going to message on the
Sure.
channel?
We're gonna go to a brief pause. So we will be right back after these messages.
All right.
Konnichiwa, Vengadores y Vengadoras, y bienvenidos a su canal de la cultura pop, Badassium Geek, el mundo para los geeks. Les saluda su amiga PikaEnid y te esperamos en todas nuestras redes sociales. ¡Sayonara!
Saludos, mi nombre es Tico Tausa. Bienvenida y bienvenidos una vez más. Y recuerda, saca la punta. Saludos chulas y chulos de YouTube. Mi nombre es Tico Tausa. Pero antes de eso, ¿sabes qué día es hoy? ¿What? Hoy es un excelente día para crear.
activa la secuencia.
Nuestra descarga ya está todo, señor. Estamos en línea y listos.
Vengadores, vengadoras, te invitamos a que nos visites en todas nuestras redes sociales. Descubre todo lo sensacional de la cultura pop en Badassium Geek. No te arrepentirás porque esto está peposo. Suscríbete, dale me gusta y comparte porque nosotros trabajamos para ti. Este que les habla, RafyStark PR, les espera. Se les quiere mucho. 3000.
Okay, now we're back to the show. So let's continue with this dynamic interview.
How you feel, Mark? How you feel on this interview?
Oh, it's fine. You guys are great. Keep on rocking. We've got it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So let's go with the next question then. So Mark, how long does it take to build a Batmobile?
You know, these cars are completely handcrafted, even though we purchase a lot of items to go into them. A lot of items are water jet cut and laser cut, but every single item has to be hand assembled then by somebody in our shop. So it takes about 2 years on average from order date to completion. And part of that is because we have so many cars in the queue at the same time, of course. But even if we only had one car to build, it would still be about a year from order date to completion date because of the custom built chassis, because of all of the handwork that goes into the making of these cars.
Wow, it's amazing. Lots of details that you also add. All that stuff.
Here's one for you. For the dashboard, for instance, it's made up of 5 individual roll top sections, just like a wooden roll top desk, only they're made up of aluminum pieces. These pieces are 115 aluminum pieces that are cut. So they're cut, they're sanded, they're buffed and polished. And these 115 pieces, it takes us 6 weeks just to do the sanding, buffing, and polishing of those pieces. So that's one person's full-time job doing just that for all of the cars that we're building.
Right. The one that is behind you, since when you have been building it? The car that is right behind you,
Right.
that you're saying, how long have you been building it?
This car, I think, is about 1.5 years into the build right now. It's really close to completion. It's just about to final prime. We'll be sanding it and then doing one more prime. The wiring is about 50% completed. The mechanical work is about maybe 50% completed. So hopefully in about 4 more weeks, 6 more weeks, we should be driving the car for the first time. So it's pretty exciting to see a car that's this far along. I'm in the process of mounting the rear windshield right now.
Really amazing. It's really amazing.
This car is my childhood, so we are freak. We are so amazing to see this car. So, Mark, next question. Is it legal for a fan, consumer, to have one of the replicas on the streets? What do you advise to those fans who wish to purchase one of the replicas?
So far, we've had really good luck with everybody being able to get their car licensed and registered in the different states and countries. But every state and country is different, and those laws are changing on a daily basis. So it's really tough to be able to just give a blanket, yes, you can register it. But so far, we've had really good luck with that. They're titled as 1955 Lincolns. And because of that, it grandfathers a lot of the rules and regulations that would prohibit it from being able to be registered. So that makes a big difference for us.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, have you had the chance to meet any of the cast from the TV series like Adam West, Burt Ward, or any other of the actors or producers of the TV?
I sure have. It's been wonderful to get to know the different cast members of the show. Some of them are no longer with us, unfortunately. My very first celebrity when I was just 7 years old was Burt Ward, who came right here to Logansport, Indiana. And he was doing a bicycle safety awareness tour. And I got to meet him at a local auto dealership. And I've met him about 8 or 10 times over the years and got to work with him. at the last couple of conventions where we attended. The late, great Adam West, met him when I was I think I was about 19 or 20 years old for the first time. Then I finally got to work with him as well. He and Bert at another convention. I met with Julie Newmar, who was Catwoman on the original show. Lee Merriweather was Catwoman in the Batman movie. And also Malachi Throne, that was Falseface on the Batman TV show. He was the master of disguises, if you remember from the show. So it was great to meet these people. And Yvonne Craig, who was Batgirl, got to meet her as well. And all just fantastic people. Adam and Bert are as bright as you would hope that they would be at playing characters like that. Very intelligent, very, very funny guys too. A dry wit. Adam could be putting you on and you wouldn't even know it until you got into it just a little too deep. But then you're like, oh, okay, this was all a put on, wasn't it? And it was just great fun to work with these guys.
Wow, amazing. And have they seen your work of the replicas of your cars?
Yes, Adam West was looking at the engine of one of our cars. This particular one had a customer supplied engine. So it was a Ford 460 bored out to a 514 stroker, had 702 horsepower. And he said, how many horsepower was that again? I said, 702, Adam. He said, that's great. The car that I had was a piece of junk. And we just had a blast. We laughed so hard. And Burt Ward was walking around one of my other cars, and he was saying, well, that was always broken on our car, and that never worked on our car, and that was only special effects on our car, and you actually got it to work? And it's just great fun. Like the hood and the trunk lid was supposed to open automatically on the show. But of course, the car was a 1955 Lincoln Futura turned into a Batmobile, and it was a manually operated trunk with a spring in it. So they ended up welding a couple of struts onto the ends of the hinges and put wires through the floor pan and had stagehands pull on it, and then it came up, and then they would add sound effects to it. Well, we can do that for real. That's one of the things that's so cool about now for building these kinds of cars, that the technology has caught up to the imagination of all those wonderful writers and directors and the prop people. And now we can do all of this stuff for real with linear actuators, with Bluetooth technology, using LCD screens on the dashboard to be able to do a TV screen. And it's just amazing fun.
Wow, it's amazing. Which similarities do you see between between your replicas and the original Batmobile?
Our Fiberglass Freaks Batmobiles are really as close as you can get to the original #1 Batmobile at the time of the show. Every single detail is replicated down to the exact same knobs that they used on the center console, the knob that they used on the dash top, and anything that we can't buy with new old stock, we go ahead and manufacture. And that's using 3D scanning and using things like that. We're able to, with CNC or using 3D printing, we can make literally exactly the same kinds of things that they used on the original car. So every detail is replicated all the way down to how the seats are made with the leather, with the 4 different pleats in it, the chrome surround around the seats, the dashboard edge is chrome, the door sweeps have a chrome U shape on the sides of them. All of that is replicated exactly just like the original car had.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Mark, one question. Do you, before this all emergency happened in this world, do you go with the Batmobiles on any convention, Comic-Con?
I love to go to conventions with the Batmobile. And if they're within 2 hours away, I'll drive to the location for the convention, which creates a lot of buzz, of course, as I am driving through and on the interstates and things like that. But it is so much fun to do the conventions, to meet fans. And fans are not just the fans like you and me. The fans sometimes are the celebrities too. And they'll come up and say, I'm such a huge fan. And I'll say, we're such a huge fan of yours. And they'll ask and say, can I sit in the car? Would that be okay? We say, absolutely. Come on in. That'd be great. And we just have a blast with the people at conventions. I'm a huge science fiction fan myself and have been going to conventions since 1980 and just thoroughly enjoy meeting people that are fans of Star Trek and Star Wars and Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I cross geek into all of them.
Wow, it's amazing. Going to conventions.
Oh, it's the last question.
All right, let's go. The last question is, what is your opinion about the action that took place a few years ago of the Batmobile built by George Barris for a sum of $4.2 million?
Oh, that was so amazing. I was up on the stage along with about 100 others right behind the car as it was going up on the auction block. And it was amazing as the car came in, everybody in the entire auditorium leapt to their feet. And it was, you know how they say that it feels electric when somebody comes into a room or something like that, that it has a lot of presence. This was exactly like that. The room was filled with such incredible energy. And as it passed each $1 million mark and finally sold at $4.2 million on the auction block, the cheers were incredible. And Jeff Dunham was there, the ventriloquist that does Ahmed the Dead Terrorist. And it was great to meet with him. And of course, I had met George before, so that was always, there's Jeff Dunham right now. And what a blast to see George do so well with this car. And he bought it for only $1. You know that from Ford Motor Company? He bought the Lincoln Futura for $1. I think you had a pretty good investment. What do you think?
Wow, that's amazing. And then you mentioned Jeff Dunham. I like his work.
Yes, Jeff.
Thank you.
He's an there we go.
Ahmed.
Ahmed, yes, I give you
my favorite puppet of his.
Walter and Peanut and all of those great puppets. I got to work for Jeff. Jeff bought a replica of the 1955 Lincoln Futura. This was a concept car. The original car was a concept car. There was only one ever built, and it was converted into the Batmobile. Barris didn't have time to make molds and cast a completely different car. He only had 5 weeks. Now, in some interviews, he will say 3 weeks. Some he'll say 2 weeks or 1 week. But George had 5 weeks, according to the contract, to build the car, to convert the Futura into the Batmobile. Now, thankfully, it already had the double bubble windshields. Thankfully, it had the giant fins on the back of the car and the flares down the side. And it's a good thing, too, because in such a short time, he didn't have much time to work with at all. So what did he do in that amount of time? He brought the fins onto the doors. He brought the hood scoop down the nose of the car. He opened up the wheel wells and rounded those off, took out the center canopy and put in all of the back gadgets. And he did all of that work in 5 weeks, and all of the body work was done in metal. So somebody by the name of the late Bob Butts, he took a Batmobile body, a fiberglass Batmobile body, cut off everything that Barris had added to the original Futura and added everything that Barris had cut off. So he cut off and added everything to make it exactly like it was as a Futura, only it wasn't very accurate. So Jeff Dunham brought his Futura replica, his fiberglass replica, to me to make it more accurate, along with my wonderful team here, to make it more accurate, to make it better built because it was super thin on the fiberglass. This particular replica was built in 3 weeks using cardboard and using fiberglass, only a couple layers of fiberglass in places, and about a ½ an inch of Bondo in places. It reminded me a lot of my first Batmobile, the one I built when I was 17.
Wow.
But we got our work done, which was the body work of the car, and then it was off to a machine shop to be able to work on the metal parts. So hopefully we will be able to see that car in the near future. So looking forward to the phone call from Jeff to say, okay, Mark, we need you to help with final assembly. So we're looking forward to that.
Wow,
Great.
that is really amazing.
Holy moly.
He actually came to the shop 3 times to check out his car and the progress. When he was here in the state, he was in Indianapolis doing his show. So what an honor to have a celebrity like that, come into our shop. And he was just as everyday a human being as you could hope for. Very down to earth and just a ton of fun.
Wow.
Mark,
Unbelievable.
another question. Do you are a collectible toys of Batman or any else or pop culture?
Absolutely. I've got I would call it a medium-sized collection of Batman. We know that some people have 1 million pieces in their collection. I'm nowhere close to that, but about 3,000 pieces in my collection. And it all started with the Corgi Batmobile, that 5.5-inch long metal Batmobile. If you remember from back when we were young, this was the Batmobile for us that we didn't have. Maybe the Aurora model kit might have been the other one that some people have. I didn't have that until much later in life. But yeah, the best Christmas ever, I was 9 years old when the Mego toys came out. You remember the Mego action figures, those 8.5-inch tall action figures, not dolls, right, guys? No, they weren't dolls.
Collectible toys.
We had the Batcave play set. We had the Batmobile, the Batcycle, all of those great villains they had made as action figures. So that was a wonderful Christmas for me and for my brother. My brother was not quite as big a fan as I was, but we sure enjoyed the show, and I continued collecting long after he stopped.
Wow. Amazing.
So, Mark, tell us what other things or variety we can see in Fiberglass Freaks beside the Batmobile?
What else can you see here at the shop?
Yeah.
Right now, you mean?
Any work, like, for example,
a tour, I take them around to talk a little bit about my story of how I got into building Batmobiles. Then I take them from one car to another car to say, here's a car right out of the mold, out of the fiberglass molds, and you see how rough the edges are, you see how rough the seams are. And then I take them to the next car and I say, okay, here's one that's mid-range. You can see we've started grinding out the bad fiberglass spots, and we've been adding to the fiberglass. And then we started body working, then we moved to the next vehicle and so on, and then take them all the way to a completed car, which is in, I'm building a museum to showcase those collectibles you were asking about. And that's
nice.
a block and a half down the street from here. It'll be a 2-story museum. The upper floor will have a Wayne Manor replica, complete with a sliding bookcase, Shakespeare bust, the switch, and the bat phone in it. Then there'll be a theater where people can watch documentaries about the television show and about the Batmobile, about Fiberglass Freaks, the CULTURA. And then you go into the Rogues Gallery, and that's where all of the memorabilia will be on display in glass cases, but also mannequins, costume mannequins of the villains. And it'll be like Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. People can walk right up to them and be able to put their hand on their shoulder and make goofy faces and things like that. I don't want them behind glass where nobody can get up to them. I want them to be able to put their hand on Catwoman's hip and give her a kiss, or that kind of thing that people do at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. And then downstairs is the Batcave. And we haven't started that part yet, but we're making great progress on the main floor. The Batcave will have a replica of the nuclear pile in the background, and it will have Batcave equipment throughout, and then one of our show cars, and then the first Batmobile I built, the one I built when I was 17. And if we come to the office right now, you see all of that memorabilia jam-packed into my office in different bookcases all the way around the room. And throughout the front office, it has spilled out. As you can imagine, it's permeated just about every room in the front of the building as possible, and is growing by leaps and bounds. Ever since 2014, when they finally got the rights worked out, it was such an awesome moment for them to get the rights for the television show to finally come out on DVD and Blu-ray, and then all of the merchandising that came out. So it has been a huge explosion again of 1966 Batman right before our eyes just a few years ago.
Wow.
Oh, that is really amazing. We have a friend here in Puerto Rico. He lives in the town of Arecibo, and he has his own museum. As he calls it, I forgot, Old Relics Museum, I think it is. And he has a section dedicated to Batman.
Awesome.
Completely section dedicated to Batman. He had, including the TV shows from the 60s. Has already amazing section. I don't know if he's watching this. I sent him the link. His name is Jesus. So I hope he's watching and talk about it. But I'm not sure.
Really amazing, that museum.
Yeah.
So, Mark, we are a pleasure. We have you in this interview. We are freak. We are freak. It's like Fiberglass Freaks. And I don't know what you say. PikaEnid, you have a few words.
Sure. But first, I'm gonna ask him. Do you plan to make one of the Bat Cycle in the shop someday from the TV series?
For the museum, I definitely want to build a Bat Cycle and a Bat Girl Cycle. A friend of mine is working on both of those, actually. I'm not going to build them or be involved with them on any kind of direct basis, but I'm happy to help out with some research and things like that. But yes, we will be adding vehicles to the museum as quickly as we possibly can, and those are two of them that we're going to go into. That Bat Cycle was fascinating, wasn't it? With that go-kart that shot off to the side, and they demonstrated that to the Burt Ward and to the stuntman, to Victor Paul, Bert's stunt double, and it crashed on the very first time driving.
Oh my God!
Wow. So it,
Holy crash, Batman!
Right, and that's Hollywood for you. That it's always hurry up and wait, right? Everything's got to be done fast, so there's never any time to build anything correctly or to take your time and test drive the vehicles or anything like that. And here at Fiberglass Freaks, we like to test drive our vehicles and put 100 or so miles on them to make sure everything's good to go. And I can't imagine working in Hollywood and having to work under those kinds of deadlines and things like that. So we don't get the luxuries of making it look good, just good enough for the camera. Our cars have to look good enough for people 6 inches away, right?
Wow. And have anyone from DC approached you for you to build them a car for one of their movies or shows?
I was approached by DC Comics and Warner Brothers regarding the Arkham Knight series of video games. They wanted me to build the Batmobile that they had from, I think it was the second or the third game. I'm not sure which one, but they wanted it in 3 months. And I just wasn't able to do it in time, which is really sad because it would have been a sweet, sweet, fun project. But who knows? In the future, maybe that will happen again. We'll get an offer and maybe the timing will work out next time. That's one of the things that I talk with people about, especially youngsters that come in. We do tours for like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and different groups and things that come in. So I talk with them about following their dreams. You'll have 1,001 people say, you can't do this. You don't have enough skill, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time or space or whatever the excuse is. They're going to tell you you can't do it. And I'm living proof to say, yes, you can. That a person like me, I had no automotive experience, I had no automotive tools, but I had willpower. And if you have willpower, you can accomplish your dreams. No matter how crazy that dream is, you can accomplish it. Just as I have with this crazy dream. As a crazy kid at age 11, my dad took me to Chicago to the Antique Auto Museum. That's where I saw my first full-scale Batmobile. And that was the dragster. It was one of the original 4 George Barris built cars. Now, you want to talk about things coming full circle? 35 years after I saw that car, I got a phone call. Hi, this is Doug Jackson. I said, wait a second, the Doug Jackson, the owner of the number 4 Batmobile? He said, you know your stuff, sir. I said, well, thank you. What can we do for you? Turns out he wanted us to restore his Batmobile, to do a complete restoration of his car. So the very car that cemented the dream I was going to build my very first Batmobile now comes to the shop and I am restoring it, and I got to drive it in downtown Logansport to go to the exhaust shop. Who would have ever thought? So yes, dreams do come true.
Yeah, it does. It's
cool.
amazing. Amazing.
Wow.
And,
Well,
you know, we need to
Mark,
work hard in our dreams to make it real.
That's right.
So that's
right.
amazing. And unbelievable. You know,
Mark,
speechless.
Do you have any social network or web page? A fan saw this interview later, and it's like to have a Batmobile of yours. Where do you where can find you?
Give
They
us
can contact you.
right. If you go to our website, fiberglassfreaks.com, which is there on your screen, that's one way to get there. The contact page has our phone number. The phone number is 574-722-3237, and that's in the United States in Indiana. Or you can contact us through our Facebook page at Fiberglass Freaks on Facebook. And either way, we'll get you there to us, and just send us a private message, and we will be happy to work with you to achieve your dream of owning your very own 1966 Batmobile replica.
All right. Can you repeat that phone numbers? I'm going to write it here on the chat so people can have it.
574-722-3237.
Mark, what do you feel on this interview?
I loved it. I thank you folks so much. This has been great. And it's always a pleasure to reach outside of the comfort zone into other countries and to talk with people from other countries. We've been interviewed by people from Germany, from Austria, from Sweden, and now Puerto Rico. So how cool is that? With worldwide recognition, I'm very humbled, and I'm very thankful that you were willing to do this. And thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Thanks to you for being here with us and giving us the pleasure of this interview and seeing your work and learn more about you and your hard work and your workshop of Fiberglass Freaks. Just really amazing. Super cool. How we see you are working very hard, making those replicas for huge fans of the Batman series. People are really enjoying it and driving your car. It's really amazing.
Thank you so much for your kind comments, and it's an honor and a thrill to be involved with the Batmobile and to be able to do this, to carry on the torch of George Barris, to carry on the torch of Adam West, and you know, those two late great people, and obviously I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing for a living without them. And wow, what a great legacy they have left behind for us, and we carry that torch on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that is really amazing.
We are God blessing to Adam West and George Barris and the rest of the cast. We are not here right now. God blessing, and thank you for giving us a dream, pop culture of series of the Batman and this Batmobile. We are used as the building. God bless your hands. God bless your workshop, and Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas for
Christmas,
you,
Mark. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, and the same to you folks. Stay safe.
Thanks, you too.
To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Let's go to the Batmobile, ladies and gentlemen. Vengadores y Vengadoras, to the Batmobile. Let's get a ride with Mark Racop.
Esto es así, Vengadores y Vengadoras. Así que a los que están viendo esto en español, vamos a despedirnos por la noche de hoy. Este fue Mark Racop de Fiberglass Freaks. con la construcción del Batmobile del año 66 de la serie de Batman. Así que gracias por su sintonía. Así que recuerden, denle like a este video si les gusta, compartan, suscríbanse, porque nosotros trabajamos para ti. Este fue como siempre RafyStark PR
Y PikaEnid. Arigato por su sintonía.
Más de Badassium Geek, el mundo para los geeks. Así que se le aprecia mucho 3000 y nos veremos hasta la próxima. Vengadores y vengadoras.
Arigato y sayonara.
See ya.
Have a nice evening.